Hey guys, welcome to the Detour Live, and it's a special edition. We've been building up for this one for quite some time. I'm excited. I know you are, Johnny Trevorrow, because we have got the big Aussie talking point from the Tour de France this year. Ben O'Connor, fourth place, sensational ride. And Ben, thanks for joining the Detour Live, mate. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. How you doing?
We're doing well.
We're doing well. Now, as Dan alluded to, we've been trying to get you for a week, but you've been having a bit of a break in rural France, and we know how tough that can be with the internet. So we could never we could cross messages and all of that. But so, what have you been doing since the tour? Fill us in.
Well, I've been drinking a lot of wine and eating a lot of good food. It's been pretty fun.
Great.
Before actually the Tour de France was super full on. Hey, like I had to do Paris-Nice, Basque, Liège, Romandy, training camp, Dauphiné, Tour de France. It was pretty much every big race you can do before. So it was like you got to stage, I think it was stage 18, the top of Col de Portet, the Tour de France, and I was just completely fried. I was wrong. It was Luz Ardennes. I was really done, and I was just. I can understand now the mental stress of the Tour de France. So I was just very ready for the race to finish and get to Paris.
Well, the thing that impressed me, Ben, is we actually haven't met, but when I saw your interview pre-tour, I was blown away by how relaxed you were. And, you know, a lot of the GC guys, you know, they're very focused, and you look like you were prepared to have fun for those 3 weeks more than anything. How important is that mindset going into a race like the Tour?
I reckon it was because the first couple of years I was racing, I was super stressed, and you'd have like sweaty palms. I'm like, oh shit, because today's going to be flat. Maybe it's going to be crosswinds here. And yeah, I always think that still, especially the first 2 days in Bretagne. But I was really just trying to take it in a stride. Because if you do it, then like if something unexpected comes, you can kind of deal with it a little bit better in a race situation. In general life, I can't. I'm not the best with that. But in a bike situation, I think it's easier to be a little bit more laid back. Try and like think about your Aussie roots, that Aussie attitude of being a little bit more chill if you can. I don't know if it's the best way to do it, but it worked. It worked this year.
Well, it surprises me. It surprises me that you say that in general life you don't handle it as well as you do on the bike, because all of your interviews through the race, just going along with what Dan said, impressed me in that you were always completely honest. Whereas it's none of the old cliches, and you just said exactly as it was. I found that quite refreshing.
Yeah, I think I hate the old interview and you're like, oh, we'll see what happens. Like, yeah, of course you're going to see what happens, but you may as well just be a little more honest with what's really coming ahead. I mean, no one's really watching your pre-race interviews. Every team's got their own agenda anyway. So you do your own plan, the team does their plan, and voila, that's kind of it. So I don't think there's any need to be like coy, unless you're maybe in the top 2 or whatever, it's super close, then yeah. But when you're in my situation, it was just literally a day-by-day thing, and then going out and doing your best, because it's kind of all you can do, no? Most of the
time. Exactly. And mate, going into the Tour, what was your mindset in terms of expectations, like going into the race?
So I was like, well, Romandy and Dauphiné went really well, and in Dauphiné I was actually a little bit disappointed because I was thinking I should have been 5th or 4th. I was dead set sure I should have been much better, but I just had a bad day in the heat, which is what happened again in Ventoux. So pretty much I was coming in thinking I could be in the top 10, but it's more or less on like the limit of that, if that was possible. And then the second objective was just to be aggressive and not forget being a racer. I think actually Bob Youngles were at a training camp in Isola, and also my coach said a similar thing. To never forget that like kind of attacking kind of attitude. Like, don't be scared. Don't just sit and wait. Just if there is something like an opportunity, then try it. So that was one of the main things I didn't want to forget when I went into the Tour de France, because yeah, it's the biggest race of the year, but it's still the same blokes you race the whole way through the year. So if you think like that, then you can probably believe that you can do something a little bit more easily.
You actually said that in one of the pre-race interviews, and I was impressed by that. You said, actually, oh, look, the Tour de France is huge. I know it's going to be big, but hey, they're still going to be the same guys I raced with last week, which was so spot on, because you were super aggressive in those, especially in Dauphiné. It was a great ride. That last stage where you were up the road, you couldn't get that little gap to catch them, but you really that impressed me. But it goes back to last year, when you really stepped up onto everyone's radar in the Giro, when you ran second in, was it say 17 in breakaway, and then come out 118 or 16, about that. But the third week of a Grand Tour, to get in the break, run second, and then the next day go out and win, that showed that you are a Grand Tour rider, because that's one thing a lot of people don't understand. Some people are just, their physiology is perfect for Grand Tours to be still going strong at the end of 3 weeks, and some people can never do it, and you are obviously one who can.
Thank you. I don't know, I guess it just falls into your hands really well, and I really like that kind of racing. I love when you get past that first week. It's almost like a mini celebration, a little mini bit of joy when you get past that stressful section, and then you just have to tackle like the kind of racing I really like in the mountains and climbs and attacky kind of style stuff. And the Giro was really confidence building, and it was almost like it was self-fulfilling, because I was able to fulfill a goal that I thought I could do for a long, long, long time. But I can never really do it. And I think I also enjoyed it because when I first started, I mean, I was able to win a stage in Tour of Alps by being super aggressive, and I went solo, but that Giro, I did nothing. I was there, but I did pretty much nothing pretty much all the race until I broke my collarbone. So that then kind of like set up as okay, you can do GC kind of moment. The next year, I thought it'd be easy to do the same, but there's a lot more things around your life that have to kind of work with your family. It was my girlfriend at the time, now my fiance, and your home and where you want to make your home, especially for us being Australian and living over here. So I found it much more difficult. And then when I did try and be aggressive in a race, I couldn't make any breakaway. So that Giro actually was probably I mean, I've done La Volta, but I almost don't really remember it so well, because I wasn't in the best form going in. I had some problems, and it was like just not good. So that Giro was kind of like a confirmation that you can be really good in big Grand Tours by being aggressive, because it was actually 3 days in the break in a row. It was the day I was second, then the first, and then I was in the break in Stelvio. But yeah, I still probably should have finished maybe fourth that day, I reckon. But I had to wait for Pozzovivo. So once I got caught with, it was only a couple of kilometers to go actually. I got the call over the radio to wait for Pozzovivo, and I was like, "How far back is he?" Like I'm just being dropped by Jai and Teo and Rowan.
Yeah,
I was like, it was in between them and Kelderman. I was like, "What's the gap?" And like, "Oh, he's 5-6 minutes." I was like, "Fuck, really? Like, I have to wait that long?" And like, "Yeah."
I just would have told him to piss off.
I was like, really? I can like finish, yeah, but I wasn't going to win that day, so I understand the reasoning, but still got like a bit of a dagger in the heart because I couldn't race over the very top of Stelvio like I wanted to.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. How, if you was talking about the Giro last year, how stressful obviously was 2020 for all you guys? Because there's so many elements. Obviously, you got the pandemic as one, but you had contract stress. Teams didn't know if they were going to have sponsors at the end of the year. I mean, how hard was that to navigate?
I mean, initially it was okay. I mean, because you knew there was going to be some racing that was going to happen eventually. So that point was fine. For me, the crunch point was around July. I had a health problem that popped up that kind of rolled me for all those races at the start. Even though I won a race at the start of the year, a stage, I had like pretty much zero interest from other teams, and teams are being a bit strange, and yeah, I was a bit left in limbo. So actually, the most stressful was probably, I think it was stage 5 of the Giro. I got super sick. I had a stomach bug. Me and Louis Menkes, we both got food poisoning pretty much from something. Or anyway, I finished last man. It was the stage that Ghana won in like the fog and the rain and the mountain.
Oh yeah, I remember that well. Yeah,
but
yeah.
I was the last man that day. It was a really shit experience. I was in the cars pretty much all day. And then we're going up this final climb, creeping along with Damar and all the FTJ boys. And I'm just getting dropped by them, just hanging. That was probably the most stressful moment of the year by far. Because if I didn't do anything then in that Giro, I would have been left really in limbo. And maybe As You Deserve would have still been interested, but also maybe not. So I guess it is. Everyone has their moment last year where they were like, "This isn't so fun."
So when did AG2R, as I like to call it, when did they start talking to you?
I think it was about halfway through. So once we had a couple pretty cool stages that we rode, as in like NTT, we rode some pretty cool stages, and stage 12 and 13. It was like really we did nothing like damage wise, but looked good on TV. So maybe it was after that roughly that they got in contact and moved pretty quickly from then. So yeah, I can only just be thankful to them.
How does that Aussie French dynamic work on a team?
I think you're talking about like demeanor. I reckon the kind of that trying to be a relaxed demeanor helps a lot. The kind of the more laid back kind of approach, because I think Romain was very, very serious and demanding for perfection, and he was a bloody good bike rider. He's a better bike rider than me, so far. But he demanded a lot, and I think people get a little bit weary of that. Whilst I guess for me, it's a bit more fresh-faced maybe, and open, and obviously the language barrier too, because my French isn't great, but it's also not the worst. I can still talk. I can kind of.
You sound like John. He's been at 20 tours and he's exactly the same,
mate. It's hilarious actually, but it works. I mean, I was actually in Chambray at the training center, I guess the team base yesterday. I drove via there. To get some stuff, some bike stuff, and get my TT bike. So yeah, it was actually quite fun just popping in, having a chat, trying to work your French, and for them as well, they actually get quite proud when you try, and then they reply in English. It's almost like not like a game, but, they kind of they feel a little bit more confident. So I think a lot of the people in the team speak a lot more English than what they also thought that they could do beforehand. So I think they enjoyed that point.
The funniest is when they get really excited, particularly that footage of the day that you did win. We're going to get to that a bit later, but when they put the Aussie accent on, come on, mate!
Come on, mate!
They really enjoyed the mate!
Yeah, I love it. They say in the morning, and they also hear me on the phone as well to my mates and chuckling and laughing. So yeah, I think they like it. I mean, especially because they want to learn English. Hey, so like the director and the team boss, the main director, Julien Joly and Vincent Levenou, the team boss, they want to learn English. That's their next thing. They've taken classes now. I think they've just started. So it's pretty actually cool to see that, because before they had nothing. They didn't know anything. So plus now it's kind of been like, I've come in and kind of kicked them a little bit. And it's not probably in a bad way, because you're always going to have a French culture. It's just for how cycling is now, it's so international. So it's kind of necessary to at least be able to speak it a little bit, especially for the media side, hey? Like, they only
understand it a little bit. That's the amazing thing for me as an old pro. I raced over there going back in the 70s, and there was less than 10 English-speaking guys in the whole peloton. So there was one Irishman with Kelly, and Roach come along later, and there was just a handful. One Englishman, one Pom, a couple of Aussies. There were hardly any. And I was in a Belgian team, so they had a bit of English in there. But if you had told me back then that English was going to become the language of the peloton, I would have said, yeah, you're dreaming. You know,
Yeah.
It's amazing how it's changed, though. It's staggering how many English-speaking guys are now in the peloton, and English is the most used language.
Yeah, maybe it's a bit sad, but I mean, every team kind of has their own language anyway. Like Astana speak Italian, Bahrain, and English, but they do speak Italian. There you got like the French team, you got Movistar, and it's all like a bit of a mix. And even Ineos, they're pretty Spanish based now, so there's a lot of Spanish being spoken, and far less English than probably it used to be too. So it's funny how it kind of changes.
Yeah.
Ben, back to the Tour de France this year. Obviously, stage one was a very stressful day for you, getting caught up in the crash, and you were quite badly injured at in the accident. Was there any point there where you're thinking, "Oh shit, this could be over" before it began?
Bro, after the crash, you got like all the bikes and you and everyone, and yeah, you just trying to like get up and get out. But I was like sore. Fuck, I couldn't get up as quickly as other guys. Like, oh, I feel super slow. Eventually got back on the bike. I actually wasn't in that one though. I was in the first one with the sign. So,
oh, come on, mate.
Ironically,
I'm struggling for photos here. Just go.
I mean, it's kind of funny because I didn't even hit the floor. I didn't hit the floor at all. I hit someone in front of me. I think it was my teammate Nons, and then someone else hit me from behind. It was on my shoulder. So once we got going, I was like, "Fuck, it's super dead shoulder." And then kept going, and I looked at my arm. There's blood all coming down. There's blood all over my legs. And then there was a bloke next to me. I was like, "Oi, like, how's my arm? Is it okay?" Because I couldn't turn it because my shoulder was sore. He's like, "That's not good. You have to stop." I was like, "Well, that's But I kept riding, and then the team car came up to me. They're like, "You okay?" I was like, "No, like I can't lift my shoulder." I was like, "Can you see my arm?" And they're like, "Yeah, you should go to the doctor." Durbo actually then came past me. And he's like, "Come on, Benny. Come on, Benno." And he's like just riding, not fast either, just in front of me, just trying to make me hold the wheel. But I couldn't even hold the wheel. I was just like in pain and grumbling. And eventually got to the doctor's car, got strapped up, spent probably about 30, 40 Ks chasing. And I actually got back on pretty much just as the big crash happened. About 5 minutes before then, I was at the back of the bunch, and with Caleb, actually. He's like, "You all right?" And I was like, "Obviously, I have blood everywhere." I was like, "No, like I'm feeling pretty bad. I think I broke my shoulder because I couldn't stand up on the bike. I couldn't move it past like 20 degrees. So I was a bit worried." He's like, "Oh, look, I know it's easy for me to say, but if you just fight a little bit and just get through today, then you'll be able to like see how it really is. Maybe it's all right." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I then kind of sat like not in a good position at all, but on the left. So when that huge crash happened with, what was it, 10 Ks to go on that massive highway.
This crash.
That one. There you go.
Yeah.
I was on the left-hand side, so I missed it all.
Right.
All of my teammates were in that crash, every single one of them.
Right.
And so, all of your teammates, including you, were in the first crash as well.
Exactly. So every single one of us crashed that day, which is pretty rough. I was speaking then to Michael Valgren the next day. I was like, "You all right?" He's like, "Yeah, none of us crashed." I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, none of us were in any of the crashes yesterday." I was like, "What? I don't understand. Like, how is that possible?" But yeah, good fortune.
What people would love to hear from that insight is there's still this Aussie spirit in the peloton. You're talking about your relationship with Luke Durbridge, talking to Caleb Ewan. Is that's something that you guys all know, but I suppose other people probably wouldn't realise just how there is still this community amongst the bunch.
Yeah, I mean, there's always little communities you see when they're chatting, when it gets easy, you kind of collect into your little group, your little collective, and have a chat. But you also kind of look out more or less for each other. I mean, I've never had issues fighting, Caleb, or issues fighting Durbo or Mitch. You have like a bit of a, all right, kind of you all understand each other, you all know each other, you don't want to flick each other. Everyone's trying to do their job, and you can more or less normally do it together at the same time. Or you have a completely different job, and you're like, yeah, actually, you need to go. I don't. So have the wheel or have some more space or whatever it is. So it's I actually kind of like it, and it's probably been the first year this year where I've found that it makes more sense. You have a little bit more respect between everyone. You have a bit more. I guess you just know people more, don't you? So everyone gives you a bit more space than someone who you don't know and who you don't like.
Do you think that's a major benefit of the Girona and Andorra bubble? Because there are so many, it's a downside in some respects because you don't get that privacy, but it is a really strong community.
It definitely helps with that. I think it helps off the bike majorly with just general hanging out. I think if you compare, like, you can go live in countryside France and it's beautiful, but then you're left a little bit hanging, and then so is your girlfriend, your fiance, or your wife. Also, with not a lot, I think these little bubbles create a good atmosphere for when you need it. You don't need to then be collective with everyone. I don't know everyone. I don't really, for example, like George Bennett, I don't really know him that well, or Shane, or some of the other Kiwi guys. It doesn't mean you have to talk to every single person, but at least there's one that you know and you're good friends with, and then yeah, you kind of create a bit more of a atmosphere. I mean, Australia is very much like that. You got the suburbs, you have your mates, and like you have your bubble, I guess. So it's just kind of like it's shifted over to Andorra, I guess, and Girona as well.
Well, I have heard that you've been knocking around a lot more with Luke Durbridge, so I no doubt your taste in wine has gotten quite expensive.
My wine taste was already broad.
Yeah.
Beforehand. I love it. That's actually why I did that trip through France. Just there's some beautiful regions there for wine, and it's something it's a nice thing to take your mind off and know more knowledge about, rather than just like looking at it. Maybe you're into finance, but then you're still having to think and gamble quite a lot. Whilst I think with wine you can appreciate it a lot because you see a lot as a bike rider. You see like different climates, different mountains, different terrain, different soil, heat, all sorts of stuff changes. So you can kind of relate to how the wines are if you want to get nice and in depth.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Just going back to that first stage, it was a pretty hard finale. It's the one that Alaphilippe did the great ride. But so, how did you handle that with your shoulder? How did you manage to sort of not lose too much time?
Well, I don't know how actually, because I was in the crash, more or less stopped on the left. I got out, kept riding, and someone was pulling in front, and I did like a couple small turns with him, but I was pretty done. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to sit up. I think that's I thought the race was completely over, hey. Like, I was still pretty convinced my shoulder was broken. Ollie Narson then came up next to me, and he's like, do you want me to go? I was like, oh, I don't know, man. I think my shoulder's broken. Like, it's like super, I can't, it's really sore. He's like, oh, all right. Yeah, so he's like, I'll just ride like a little bit of tempo. So he's riding not fast, not full. And then Lopez started riding in front. And yeah, I just kind of sat on the wheel up until the finish. And I think it wasn't actually a massive time loss. It was a minute 45. And when I look back actually at how fast we did the climb with Lopez, it was only like 15 or 20 seconds slower, which, when you just got kind of like one bloke riding in front of you, kind of, you're like, oh, I really should have actually been there quite easily with that front group. So that kind of gave a little bit more confidence for the next day. But yeah, I was going to just sit up because as soon as I crossed the line, I went straight to the ambulance. I was like, yeah, it's broken. And they're like, what's wrong? I said, yeah, mate, I'm pretty sure it's fine. So yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really thinking anything at the time. I just wanted to get to the hospital and see if my arm was okay or not.
And what was the final diagnosis? You had 10 stitches in the arm, yeah? And
yeah, just here I had nice little chainring bite. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
It looks good.
The Tour de
then-
France tattoo.
Yeah, I know. And then on my shoulder, it was actually just a really, really bad muscle contusion and bruising. So pretty much like when you get like it's like getting a massive corky, pretty much,
Mm.
and then your muscles just go like that. So it was all contracted and I couldn't move it. So that's more or less the diagnosis. But it felt like it could have been broken because it's just no movement. So yeah.
Now, before we get to stage 9, I better get through some of these comments. We've had a lot of people wanting to get involved because this obviously is live, and get involved by commenting on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're watching it. Ryan Kavanagh says, "Hi lads, well done, Ben. The video with Tristan Take video made just perfect tour, but released after is a very good watch." Yeah, not sure about that. Where's that video? Is it on YouTube or something?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. So my mate Tristan Kydrew does, I guess, these YouTube kind of blogs about him riding and all sorts of scenes, whether it is just in Girona or some bikepacking trips or a gravel race or training with me. That's the one that Ryan mentioned there.
Okay.
Oh, awesome.
Up here in Andorra, and that was a really, really great ride. The sun was out, and yeah, there's a couple funny things that popped up. So yeah, if you want to watch it at some point, it's nice little,
We will.
viewing for also how you're doing training at the time and how you're feeling, and you can kind of sense like this little bit of confidence. And I think I talk a lot about like just hope. I just always just try and have hope. So it was a good video.
Oh, we'll check it out for sure. Samantha Ince, who's a big fan of the show, says, "Congrats, Ben. So awesome." The Wheel Wizard said, "Congratulations to Ben on his 4th in the tour. Do you have a TT bike in Andorra for training?"
I do. I think it's necessity, and I think from next year I'm going to be doing a lot more TT work. I think when you see like Vingegaard and how good he is on the TT bike, and Pogacar obviously, it's pretty. I mean, he's beating these best TT guys in the world, so you need to step up your game. So I think I'll be on the TT bike a lot here in Andorra, and not the easiest place to be on the TT bike, but makes you hard.
I'm sure Durbo will give you plenty of tips,
I think
particularly around
doesn't
positioning.
mind the Girona TT bike. To be fair,
Yeah. Buster Thomas says, "Great effort on the Tour de France, Ben. Great attitude. I cheered for you on Zonklin in 2018, so glad you continue to power on." Tom Maloney says, "Superb ride, Ben." Carolyn Harbeck, "Congratulations on a great Tour de France from Mandurah in WA." Andy Matthews has got a question for you. He says, "Hi, Dan, John, and Ben. It'd be interesting to hear from Ben if, given his results this year, if AG2R have indicated that they'll put more resources behind him and go all in for a podium next year."
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the team would love to see that. It's the biggest. I mean, it's the biggest race in the world, but it also means the most to the French. So there'll probably be a little bit more expectation, but I think if you can follow up and do it a second time, more or less close to what I was able to do, then that would already be a big enough success. And I think you have to see how you develop as well. I mean, I shouldn't say develop because you feel like I've now made that step. It's just about doing it again next year because consistency was one of the factors that I struggled with in the previous years. So if I can put it together again next year, then why not try? And that's why I was saying just before about the TT bike, I think it's one of the major things to improve on. I think if nothing really else went wrong and I continue to improve as a climber, have these big, strong Belge boys with me like Ollie Narson and Greg and Mickey Shah. He's Swiss, but anyway. And then improve on the TT stuff, then you should be in the game. So,
is it a fine balance though when you spend more time on the TT? Can it affect your climbing?
I kind of find them kind of similar, but there's still a similar effect. I mean, I often slide a long way forward on the saddle, so I find that it's more or less similar. I think if you're doing a lot of TT stuff, yeah, but it's just, I mean, a lot of the time with the resources, it's about the aerodynamic part of it all, and I'm I'm also quite a tall guy, so it doesn't help also a lot because I got big legs and I cop a lot of wind. But in the same time, for flatter time trials and stuff, I should in theory be normally pretty good with bigger power and stuff like this. So yeah, I don't know if it actually takes too much of a negative effect. I've never found it. If anything, I've found it helps because it means normally means you're more concentrated on your bike riding and your training, so you're doing better things rather than just going on a road bike and going for a pedal.
If he
give you confidence, yeah. I found it interesting that when you're looking back on your career early days, when you and the Tour of Savoy, when you did that great stage, which probably got you your contract with Dimension Data, turned out to be virtually the reverse, the same stage that you won stage 9 to Tigny, but in the reverse, in the same terrible conditions. Tell us about that.
It is kind of ironic because it's. I actually love that area. I love those climbs. That whole like Grand Bornand and Col de Rome and Aravi and Les Aces and stuff. So I've done those roads a lot. You always do them in Dauphiné as well. So they're kind of well known. I've got a good memory. I got to say that first climb that we started, I think it's Col de Saxonne at the bottom. I think they used it in the Worlds back in the day when it was in Chamonix or Megève.
Solanches, I rode it.
That's right.
I rode it. Bernard Hinault won
it. Some bad memories of it. It was not easy. Last year in the Dauphiné, in fact, it was just like ridiculous, and this year was also ridiculous. So I don't know. I just love that area. I think I love the Alps. They're just a special place to ride a bike, and it seems to always go well for me there.
So and that's also, I'm just saying, it's also the home area of AG2R. So
yeah, exactly.
They would have remembered you from that day as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, some of the staff were even working for the junior Azure Dessert team that was there in Savoie Mont Blanc. And ironically, actually, we had a French soigneur with us when I was riding with Vanti Isaway, and they needed an extra soigneur. And one of them is now working for Azure Dessert Citroën. He actually, Alex, he actually works with us.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good.
So
that's
I was with him in 2016 as a young Australian, just come to Europe to ride. And the next time I see him was actually this year at the training camp.
That's a good story.
Do you remember me? Well, he's got no English. He's still full French. He's a funny cat.
So, Ben, take us through that amazing stage 9. I mean, the word was that you weren't expected to be in the break. You even told your parents, go out and have some fun because they were over there in Europe. She'll be right. And you've left your brother scrambling to message them or get in touch to say, hey, he's in the break. He's a big chance.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I mean, the initial plan was always for me just to wait until the second week or third week, actually, to try a win from the break there because it was to win from the break and also to gain time. But the plan for teens was for my other teammates, Aurelian and Nons, to be in the break. But I couldn't see anyone from us near the front for the first, when we started climbing pretty much. And I was waiting. The group had already gone. There was one or two guys jumping across. We still didn't have anyone. I was like, oh, shit. Like, this is a stage in Savoie. We need to, it was a necessity to be in the break for that day for the team. So pretty much eventually got to a point where I was like, I'm just going to go because it can't help. I can't hurt. And if they chase, the peloton chases because they think I'm dangerous, then that's it. It doesn't matter. They can then take the next attack. It can't hurt me. So, yeah, that was pretty much the plan from then on. But they didn't chase. I actually sat at the very back of that group then for the next 10Ks because I didn't know what to do. Didn't know what I should keep going or, yeah. I mean, it actually seems silly now to even think about, not carrying on with that move because you had a gap. So why not try? So kind of funny. And then eventually when I saw Quintana and Woods and Higuita and Wild Pools, I was like, yeah, this is a big move. And if we ride full, then you're going to get a gap. And then when you hit 7 minutes, you're like, yeah, this is a pretty good chance to stay away. So yeah, it was just an interesting race because we rode so hard all day, the break. It wasn't like there was any easy climb where you were doing like well within your limits for the climb. Every single one was on the limit. It was a very different kind of breakaway kind of day, and with the weather was just shocking. And then the cold on top of Roars and Lawns. So yeah, it was a pretty special day, and I'm pretty proud to be able to say that I was able to win on one of probably the hardest mountain stages you can kind of get with those kind of climbs and that kind of weather.
When you're with guys of that quality and you're on the limit and the weather's bad and all these sort of factors, are you just sort of hoping and praying that you don't crack? And then tell us about the moment when you go, holy shit, I've got the legs here, I'm pulling away. How does that then start seeping into your head to stay focused?
I think it was actually I can't believe how hard everyone's pulling because they were going for the KOM. So they were just pulling full. And I was lucky enough to be I wasn't getting pulled along because I was also pulling because I was like, okay, I've got a great chance for GC to gain time. Tomorrow's the rest day. The day after is a flat day. I should, in theory, be able to recover. So I'm going to try and make the most of it. And then when it did split and Guillaume Martin was behind, I knew it was in a super strong group that we could, really kick on. So it's actually more or less about not going too hard with those guys because when they were accelerating and attacking, and it was way too hard for me. And it wasn't only until I got back onto Higita and Nairo at the bottom of Roselawn because on the descent, I descended like a bit of a pussy for sure, but I just really couldn't feel my fingers at all. I was so cold. I deal with the cold really well. I'm fine with it, and I have no issues, but I was not in a good way there at all. Something just got to my hands, and I just exploded down the descent. And I thought halfway down the descent, that's game over. That's my try for trying to be in the breakaway. That's the Tour de France. But I could kind of just see them in front when I got to the bottom of the descent. Went to time trial mode. I was like, yeah, all right, let's see if we can get back. And then when I heard it was going down 30 seconds, 20 seconds, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll get back on. But are they just tapping around waiting and then they're going to destroy me on the climb? So when we started the climb, I was surprised Nairo got dropped, but he must have just gone so hard for the KOMs. So you never really know with him. He kind of looks the same the whole time until he stopped. And Higita, I thought he was just bluffing super hard because he's obviously with Nairo and they were talking. I obviously didn't understand it. I was like, maybe he was just giving him some advice and he's going to flick me later. But I still have to keep riding for the time because we had such a good time gap still. I was like, if I make just 2 minutes or 3 minutes, it's still a lot. So, pretty much, I thought he was bluffing, and he was pulling even softer. I was like, oh, this is not cool. I'm just going to pull harder and see what he does. And I didn't actually see when he got dropped. I was just pulling, and then eventually heard in the radio, Higita Higita's dropped. So then it was just the time trial to the finish from there, and it was pretty amazing. Actually, ironic, it was kind of funny because I thought the time gap was far less. So pretty much they give you the board that tells you the time gaps. But the time gap at the top, it started when I dropped Higita at 10, then went up to 30, then went up to 45, and eventually a minute 30, and then went back down to a minute. Oh geez, he's coming back. He's gonna I can't believe he's coming back. I thought I was really pushing on good pace, and I was a bit worried. So I wasn't really listening to the radio because the radio was telling me to be calm and controlled. Our director was he's really this guy that was with me, Didier Janel. He's calm, he's collected, he's like, stay in control of your emotions, don't let it get in your way, and focus on the finish. The finish is 2Ks before the finish because that's where it stopped the climb.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much he wasn't really telling me what the gap was, and I was just going full, thinking that Higita was still chasing me. But in the end, that was the gap to the yellow jersey, not to the guy behind me. So I had no idea until I crossed the finish line that I won by 5 minutes. I had no idea.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. So maybe it actually helped spur me on to push even harder because, I was pretty broken by the finish, like physically. So it was maybe it was a good thing. It worked out well for probably holding on to 4th place in this Tour de France.
Yeah.
What was that emotion like when you knew that you had the stage one? Because I think I should have queued up that video where we had the team car celebrations. But I mean, that must have just been surreal. That final 30 seconds there.
5Ks to go. I was like, you get like these waves where you could probably just kind of hyperventilate because you're like, oh my god, I am gonna probably win, but you just need to keep in control because I knew I had enough gas to get to the finish line. It was just like trying to make sure I didn't emotionally just be like, oh my god. So yeah, pretty much that moment, the last kilometer was just super special because you knew as well how many people were watching. You had everyone back in Oz. You had for sure, obviously, my fiance with her friends back at home, and I was hoping my parents. I didn't say them to not watch the whole stage. I didn't think I was going to be winning today. I think the break will win, but I don't think I'm going to be in it. But yeah, voila, the break won, and I was in the break. So it's you think about all the things, all the people who are watching you, and what it then means to every single person, and how much like celebration they are, like having, like shouting at the TV, like what you do when you watch the cricket when someone like Steve Waugh makes a century or West Coast with the grand final.
Sorry, mate. I had the script. There it is. There.
There it is.
This is the last final there. I love the accent.
Enjoy.
Good times. You know, that other guy, he's actually works with the media stuff for our team, and that was the first time in the car for him.
Oh wow!
Oh really? That's great.
So it'd be like you, Dan, hopping in the car for your first stage of the Tour de France, and victory in the breakaway.
So after obviously the celebrations that night, and then it was like, hang on, GC, it's game on here. How did that mental focus shift? How was that for you?
Well, it wasn't stressful because you knew it had already, like, you couldn't lose from there. I was able to win a stage. It's already kind of rare, I would say, for that to happen. So the fact that I already had that victory meant I didn't have any more stress. I just had to, like, as I said, the whole motto for the Tour de France is just kind of do your best every single day. And the next thing was kind of just Ventoux. We're like, okay, I've done Ventoux a few times. Don't love it, but I just need to do a good day up there and see where it puts me in. And I got such a big time gap, I didn't care about Pogacar. He was on another planet. But the other guys, I had a couple minutes on. So even if I have a bad day, they would have to drop me by a minute on each climb. And I know these are big climbs, but I still reckon I could probably more or less hold my own because in Dauphiné, I was the same as them, if not better. So I kind of lived in that kind of hope from there. But actually, when we had the celebration after the stage, we didn't, as riders, get to drink too much because Vincent was like, all right, game on, it's GC. I had a little glass of champagne, like probably like a 3/4 glass, I reckon, at least. Like nothing more, and just one beer, and that was it. Whilst I definitely could have had a lot more to celebrate.
I reckon. But it was rest day the next day, mate. Of course, you could have had a couple of glasses, you would think, anyway.
Oh, I know. I also thought so, but Vincent's pretty strict, and he wanted to I guess he was then stressed more or less for up until a point.
But that's what we really enjoyed was those little blogs that you're doing for Cycling News, because you're giving us these these just honest insights, and you're talking about that, how you know it's game on for the GC is when only had like one glass of alcohol after a win like that. That was fantastic, because the sport really needs characters. They need people that can just tell it as it is, because as you said, it is very vanilla otherwise.
Yeah, he's exactly right. I mean, people can always say, I think my team, I think that, I think this. And it is a bit sterile. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I think Peter, for such a time, like before Base again, was such a cat, because he's just a character. And he wasn't really shy or scared. And I really rated that. I think you should have a little bit of charisma, as you would say, with the journalists, because if you're just saying nothing, I mean, you just get nowhere. It doesn't actually create any good media attention either if you just say the same thing.
Well, John, you were a bit of a trailblazer for that. Write a blog in 1980 at the Giro, when you used to do a blog every day.
Oh, yeah?
Smoking kangaroo, they called him, because he was paid to smoke a dart at the start line.
I was on the back page of the Gazette of Sport nearly every day with they called me the smoking kangaroo. What's he doing today? Type of thing.
Well, you went the other way. Yeah, you said you drink a bottle of champagne a night. Yeah. Anyway, we're going off track. So, Iffy, you got a question?
Well, I was just going to say, let's move to Mont Ventoux, because for me, one of the most impressive things that from my watching you on that tour was the stage at Mont Ventoux. You were deep in the hurt box. You could see.
I just got my sunnies on there. You can't see me.
I could tell you were really, really having to dig deep. And the way you fought through that was bloody impressive. And there was one little incident that happened that to me was you touched on it before, that Aussie thing, when Richie had finished doing his work, but it was dropping back, and he got to you, and he just set that pace for you. I don't know for how long. I only showed you for a few seconds on the TV that happened, but I just thought not many other countries in the world would do that. Two different teams, but Richie just sort of steadied the ship just for a short time. But I thought it was a really beautiful moment. Yeah,
it was actually quite nice in the Tour de France with Richie kind of being there and having to talk with him as the race went on, and his demeanor too. He didn't actually have to do GC and stuff like this, so he was very relaxed and wasn't like I think what he was like in previous Grand Tours, where he was super stressed and had all this expectation. He had nothing, so it was nice to have a chat with him every now and then. And actually, a Montu was a kind gesture, even if it wasn't for so long, because I'm pretty sure as soon as that footage came up on TV, he was told straight on the radio. He's like, "Sorry, mate, being told off on the radio." Yeah, I know. I can easily assume, but it was a nice gesture anyway, and it still gave me a little carrot, even if he was at the time like maybe for half a minute or 45 seconds in front, like. Makes no difference, and just seeing him there made me like try and get up to him, because I was really on the limit. I was really cooked. I don't know if there's accumulation from teams, because I was so sore, like unbelievable. It's like going for your first off-season run, but you've done 15 Ks at sub like 3.5 minutes or 4 minutes. Like you feel like you've just done a huge effort, and I was so unbelievably sore after that day. So. I think it was the accumulation. Also, it was hot, and it'd gone from hot to cold most days. And then before the Tour de France here in Andorra, it was raining pretty much every day, and definitely no more than like 20 degrees. I think I had averages of like 12 and 13 for the rides that I was doing a couple of days before the Tour de France. So I lost all my like heat adaptation and just like burned up pretty much on Ventoux. So yeah, it was just it was a battle of mentality and a bit of grit, and then I was pretty happy to get to the top and cool down and descend as fast as possible.
Can you give us an insight when the moment when you drop off the back and oh, hang on, I'm in a bit of a hurt box here. what do you tell yourself mentally to keep your shit together?
It's funny, in the heat, I was actually completely fine before. That's why the team. I think I went on to Von 2, like second wheel. I'm pretty sure. Started climb, which at the very front, just behind Mickey Shah, and then I can't remember if it was UAE or Ineos. I think it was Ineos that paced, and I was just sitting behind Pogacar the whole time. And yeah, I was comfortable. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm second overall. He's in yellow. I'm good. And yeah, it just all of a sudden hit me at that moment. I got dropped pretty much. It was only maybe 500 meters before then. I was like, oh God, this isn't great. And it wasn't even an increase in pace at all. It was just like, I think I just got too hot, body cooked. Then yeah, next minute I was trailing and just had to. I mean, I've done it before. I know it's a really long climb, and you just have to sit on the limit pretty much. There's no other number or anything like this. You just like have your limit, and that's what it is to the top.
Just fight.
Yeah, and
You did.
and you know that you're second overall. Hey, like you know you got this gap. So you're like, all right, I've got this gap for a reason. I have this chance, so I can't like blow it. Otherwise, I could have stopped. If I was fifth overall at the time and like still on the same time as them all, I reckon I probably would have just stopped and then just parachuted out because I was just fully fried. But because I was in such a luxurious position that I probably thought I'll never have again at the time, may as well try to do my best and hold on.
And you did a great descent. Actually, you didn't lose any time on the descent. So
No.
You did it. You pulled one out.
Yeah, I did the descent actually in the Mont Ventoux challenge, and it's super fast. Yeah, I just went as hard as I could. I don't really know what else you can say. It's not super technical. It's just about getting up to speed, and then it's only technical down the bottom. But yeah, I was pretty glad to not lose more time because by yourself, it's not the best because you actually need people rolling with you. That would help a lot more with that kind of descent. Someone goes past you at 80, and then you go past them at 85, and because you're doing almost 100 k's an hour, you're doing more than 100 k's an hour down that descent. So she's pretty wild. But that wasn't the only time I had to chase back on a descent. So it's actually kind of cool because I used to think, it's impossible to chase back on descents nowadays, but nope, you can still do it.
Yeah. What are the other decisive moments from Ventoux to Paris that you think was the real keys to getting that fourth place?
I think having Mickey Shah, Greg, Van Afma, and Ollie Narson for me for all those days between Ventoux when you had stage to Valence, the stage to Nimes, the stage to Carcassonne. They were just like, it takes the mental stress out of positioning because you just follow them. You're just their shadow, hey. So it's not like if you really are worried, you can say, let's go, let's move up a bit more. But otherwise, I mean, I have full faith in them. I don't think if you see Ollie Narson miss a crosswind split, you'd be pretty surprised. And he's not a cocky guy, but he's like, I've never missed a split in the Tour de France for crosswinds ever. So it's nice to hear that. And like, I just sit with him the whole day. So that is probably that was the most decisive probably point, I think. Even though there wasn't much wind, it just took a lot of mental stress away for the final week. And then I would say it was the Andorra stage because it was super, super hot that day. That was the hottest day by far in the Tour de France. And start was solid, and then it was super hot in this drag from Perpignan up to Pouchetta, and then you come across eventually to Andorra. But the final climb is very, very steep. And yeah, the race was quite interesting where the GC guys were kind of like this and stopping and so on like that. But the fact that I was able to get through and eventually got used to the heat was the major thing because that was the reason why I'm on two. I struggled, I think. So that was a proud moment for me because I was able to get past something which I'd had a struggle with only a week earlier.
Yeah, it was a great stage because we know that your family and your fiance were on the ground because that's obviously your base, and then you're on the front, you're attacking. Was that because you were excited that your family, your support network were there to cheer you on?
No, it's because I was getting dropped every time. So I was like, if I got a gap on the flat section, then it will take them longer to catch me. So
yeah, fair enough.
because I know the climb and it kind of does a little bit like this. I mean, it's not. It's actually super wally, and then there's one or two flat sections, and pretty much the sections I went were the flatter bits. And if they just stop for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, I have a gap. But yeah, everyone's close on GC, and you can see that Wilco Kelderman and I had like a thing going where if he went, I definitely. I mean, he didn't really ever go, but I'd always be looking at him, and he'd always be watching me. So I couldn't really get much of a gap. But it's amazing having my fiance and friends down at the bottom of Baseless. It was a lot of fun seeing them actually at the bottom. And you're in this little group of what is it, 10, 15 guys, and they get to see you, and you're at the very front. Sorry, the very front of the Tour de France. For me, that's pretty special.
Is it tough in those moments when you see your family, you see your friends and stuff, and then surely your brain's going, I just can't wait for this race to be over now so I can just go and connect with the people and just, get out of the washing machine, essentially?
I reckon seeing them on the rest day was more difficult than actually in the race, because in the race, you're in that moment, and I was very interested and very keen for the Andorra stage for a long, long time. It's like a sense of pride to be able to ride at the roads that you now call home. So I really loved it. And the rest day was hard when I got to see them. And yeah, obviously still wearing the mask, and I was trying to be really good for that and not pull any, it's
COVID breach.
Yeah, COVID breach. But, I don't want to let the whole team down just because of one small thing. And even if my fiance and my parents are all fully vaccinated, I didn't want to hurt anyone else in my team. So yeah, that was probably the most difficult kind of point for that, not actually seeing them during the race.
It's a pretty
grab a phone charger because
go for it.
Oh, you're right, mate.
For organisation.
You're all right, mate. No stress. You probably thought it was going to be a 15-minute in and out chat, and then we've just chewed your ear off.
I knew it was going to be long, but I didn't know how long. But the thing is,
we're only halfway, mate.
There's no phone charger in this house anymore.
Well, maybe not.
Here we go.
Iffy.
Now, I was just going to say it was always going to be a really brutal finale with two huge mountain finishes and then the time trial before you get into Paris. So, as you were heading into those last 4 days, what were your thoughts?
I think it was just the time trial. That was the next big moment that I had to really focus on. I mean, the mountain stages, I don't know. It kind of flashes by, doesn't it? Col de Portet was actually really fun. I was really happy with that ride. I was able to be with, I think I finished, I don't know what it was, 5th, 4th or something like that. I was really proud of that ride because I tried to follow Pogacar, and actually it was probably the best I felt out of all the days. It's obviously it isn't enough. So there's only so much you can do, and it was then about just holding on with Iran and Kelderman and voila, you just did your best. And actually, it was that final kilometer, I actually attacked that group, and that was the time gap that made sure I finished 4th in the Tour de France, actually, on that climb. Because I lose I did then, it was then once it was quite a good tempo the next day on the final climb. You knew you were going to get to the finish more or less okay. It was just about watching Kelderman and not getting dropped by him. So yeah. Actually, finally that day, I felt shit all day. Before we started Tourmalet, I was like, oh god, I'm like really not good today. Like we were struggling just holding the wheel at the bottom of Tourmalet as we were the brake was still kind of going. wasn't feeling great at all, and yeah. I guess when we started climbing, then it was fine. I started to climb right at the front with Ollie Narson again. He stayed with me almost to the very top of the climb as well. He was there until like 3Ks to go. So chapeau to the big man. And yeah, that kind of gives you a bit more confidence when you see him like suffering. He's suffering so hard, just being there with you. So yeah, that's where I gotta finish it off. I have to keep going. There's only one more day. Hey, there's only one more mountain day, and then the time trial was the day after.
Yeah. So in the time trial, the first half of the time trial, I thought you looked very comfortable. You're on top of this.
I felt more or less comfortable for the first 10Ks. The final 20Ks were not so comfortable.
Now, that's what I was going to get to. You look like, going back into the hurt box here. And so you had to dig very deep because you can easily lose, 20 or 30 seconds when you're in that situation. So what was your thoughts going into that, last half of that time trial?
Oh, it was just about, once again, I didn't actually really have power. I mean, I did. I had my power meter there. But at that point, there was no real power at all that I could, sit on. It wasn't what I planned on sitting on. So it was actually about just that was the limit, more or less, at the time. And I knew I still had to have a little bit left for the final 5 or 6K. It's going to kind of, dragged up a little bit. So, yeah, it was... Actually, there was one moment I dropped down on my little ring and I kind of got a little bit caught. And I lost a lot of momentum because I stopped pedaling for a couple of seconds because I thought I was going to drop my chain. And that would have sucked because then for sure I would have been really screwed. But yeah, it was a pretty horrible experience. It wasn't the nicest time trial I've done. I started out okay, but then I really was just so tired. I was so mentally done by that point, the Tour de France. I was not cracked, but that was the limit. If it was a day longer of hard racing, I think I would have really, really struggled a lot. So I was pretty relieved when I eventually crossed the line and heard that I sort of held fourth. I mean, it wasn't a bad thing if I finished fourth or fifth. It's still similar, but you still never want to lose.
Bullshit. Because fourth means that it's a better result than Phil Anderson. So that's huge. Huge.
Oh, Phil will be dark on that. Well, it is, exactly.
I don't know. I was just trying to dumb it down as much as possible.
Yeah.
If I lose out, it's not going to kill me, but I'm not going to lose out. I'm not going to do it. I have a good gap. I mean, we should be. And actually, in the end, to us, the time trial, we finished more or less as normal. He was a little bit faster than me, and I was, it's only 10 or 15 seconds difference. Like pretty much every time trial we've done this year together. So, I guess it was same. But yeah, I was pretty cooked by that point.
Well, you talk about you talk about the relief you felt after the time trial. I mean, how much of a relief was rolling into Paris and it's done, and that fourth is cemented. What were those emotions like?
Well, the start was super nice. I was just hanging out in the back of the bunch. It was super beautiful. The sun was out, and I was actually by myself for the first couple Ks as we kind of rolled out. And in these beautiful suburbs, these leafy green trees, and all the families on the side of the road and just cruising around. Eventually, bumped into Durbo that was there, and we had a good chat for quite a while. And that was really such an enjoyable moment. I really, really enjoyed that. That was one of the best moments about the whole Paris stage, actually. That start, because the Champs-Élysées is actually super stressful. It wasn't not super stressful, but you have to concentrate a lot. So it was far harder than I thought it was going to be. And yeah, it was just about, that whole, once again, it was like a whole motto for the whole race for As You Desert. Pretty much I was just chaperoned by Mickey, Ollie, Greg, and Benoit. And actually the whole team around me the whole time. And I just didn't want to drop my chain, didn't want to puncture on the last lap, and then you lose your fourth place. I know it's super unlikely, but shit happens. So
Mm.
we wanted to avoid that happening. So yeah, when I crossed the line, it was so special with the sun and the heat, like full summer, and everyone's giving big hugs. And that photo of us on the Champs Elysees is something I'll remember for a long, long, long time. Just that crew of boys that we had, and then rolled back down to Champs Elysees, and I was going to go do some media stuff. And I knew my parents and Sarah and some of my friends actually were in one of the tents near where the media stuff was. So went across to it, and I eventually saw them like waving, which isn't easy because there's lots of people. Saw them, went over to them, gave them all hugs, and then all of a sudden I see the CEO of Citroën, Vincent Corbet. So like, top dog, big sponsor for our team, in the same tent. He's like, yeah, I'll take a photo. So yeah, it's like, yeah, you have to pay to go in, I think. But like, there's heaps and heaps of different tents, and I was surprised he was in that one. So it was pretty cool that he then had like the CEO of Citroën and one of the main sponsors for our team taking a photo of me and Sarah and my parents. I actually found that pretty cool. And then actually ran into the guy I was talking about earlier, Tristan Cardra as well. As he was taking some photos at the very end of the Champs Elysees, where the buses are. I was able to chat to him for the first time because he'd been away on his own project too. So there was lots of just like a lot of happy memories from Paris. It's special, and yeah,
Now, how was the after party? Let's get to the important stuff. How was the after party?
Oh, it was long. I didn't get back till I think it was around 6 a.m. So it was maybe 6 or 6:30. It was a long day, but it was fun.
Tell me you didn't end up at the duplex.
Duplex,
Yeah.
it did end up.
Oh no!
Yeah,
it's just the route. It's tradition. Everyone ends up at the duplex.
To be honest, I could have just gone to bed. I was pretty nailed, but my teammates, actually, main one was Aurelian. I'm pretty good mates with Aurelian now, and he's like, "No, we're going." I was like, "Oh, I'm not sure." He's like, "No, come on, you can do it." I was like, "Fuck, all right, I'll go with you." So it was actually pretty cool because his partner was there, and a couple of the other girlfriends were there, and they don't speak like any English. The girls, or more or less. Once you have a couple of drinks, for sure, you can speak fluent French and English no matter what. But it was pretty fun. It was just late, and yeah, kind of nailed you for the next day. But it was a lot of fun. We had actually this great dinner and on these barges on the river, and Cadell Evans was there, which was special because he came with BMC. So spoke to Cadell for a long time, had dinner with him, and then yeah, I think he was there with this barge dinner restaurant place till maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and then he headed off because he was flying the next day.
You didn't get into the duplex.
No.
Cadell.
No, I mean his flight was at 10, so it would have been a bit rough with an hour's sleep. But I've heard it been done before.
Did Cadell at any point, even after a few sherbets, say, "Listen, Ben, you can win the tour. Don't worry, you can win it"?
I don't think he's the kind of man that would say that. He didn't say that in words. I think it's just more he was really, really proud because he's seen how he saw me when I was at Dimension Data back in 2018 and 19, actually, because we had BMC in 2019. So he saw me then, and he saw how like things didn't really work out, and he still texts me occasionally during that time. And as I say, occasionally get a text from him he gives nice confidence, and he was really, really interested and really invested. And he actually never texted me the whole Tour de France. It was texting via Mickey Shah, just asking him how I'm going, how's he dealing, and stuff like this. So I actually really enjoyed it, and that dinner just to talk. And now I understand the gravity of what he was able to do, as in winning the Tour de France and also being on the podium a few times. Like that's just it takes a lot of mental strength and capacity, and like that point not far outweighs the physical point, because the physical thing is what you do all at home in training, but being able to deal with everything else around is I don't know how much you can train it, whether it comes in nature or how you get brought up, but yeah, I found a lot more respect once I saw him and spoke to him that night than I ever had before. So it was a really great gift, I would say, from BMC for him to come along and for me to have the chance to speak to him after I've done something special for my career, and also it's 10 years since he won the Tour de France too. So special for him too.
Well, it's funny you mentioned about the mental strength. I mean, if you and I were there for the years that Cadell was racing the Tour, and the similarity was the year in 2011, we knew from the start that it was different because he was so relaxed. He just had this different mental approach from the first interview, the first press conference, and that carried all the way through, whereas the other editions, so stressed. And that was evident every day. And that mental stress, as you said, it's almost adding kilos to your bike frame, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it weighs you down. You really, I mean, sleep is important, but just that time off the bus, or on the bus actually, when you finish the stage, being able to switch off and stuff, that's both before and after. That takes a lot, and you have to have some sort of switch. You have to have some sort of bell that you can stop and turn on when it needs to. Actually, I found it quite interesting how Nicky Shah was actually there with Cadell when he won. I'm pretty sure he was there in the team when he won. And then ironically, he's now here with me. And actually just helping me out and doing the same thing. And it's another point where you understand to respect everyone's job a lot more when you get to the Tour de France, because you find out that's like the peak kind of moment where you have to deliver, and it's the hardest place to deliver. So even for domestiques, it was a big learning curve for me to be able to understand fully what everything kind of means in the Tour de France.
For sure. If we've had Ben for over an hour now. We need to sort of get the final cracking questions.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to try and do a deal with you, Ben.
Righto.
Because
careful, Ben.
I don't know what your criteria is for next week or so, but I would like to do a part 2, because I got a whole stack of things from the early days. I was running the Tour of Tassie when you rode that. You were just first year NRS, I think, when you first joined with Andrew, and even before when you were with Wayne Evans, and I've got a whole stack of little yarns here, and I would really like to do a part 2 where we go to your beginning and what led you to racing in Europe. So, is that a deal? Can we do that?
I will agree, because I actually enjoyed this a lot. It's been fun to
good
stay back and have a yarn and so on. But yeah, I would love to do that next week.
Okay, well, you tell us a day that suits you, and as long as you got Wi-Fi.
We've got a couple more comments before we let you go. Dale Simmons says, "When's the Fremantle fly hitting the Bay Crits?" Asking Fiffy. We had to get the Bay Crits in there.
You got it in there for me.
Yeah,
I think it'll be impossible for me to get back to Oz this year. So Bay Crits another day. They're definitely not my kind of race, though, Bay Crits, that's for sure.
Yeah, fair enough.
We'll put one with a hill in it for you, mate.
Zippy7 says, huge congrats to Ben for a superb result at Tour de France. Glad to hear you have good teammates. Looking forward to following you in future races. Thanks for entertaining Dan and Iffy. Boris, quick one, wants to know, how does the Tour compare to the Giro?
The Tour is much, much harder. Maybe the profiles you can see in the Giro are harder, inverted commas, but the way the Tour is raced is much harder. The mental thing as well, as I said earlier, is just out of this world. It's I've done a Giro 3 times now, and I can easily say that the Tour is by far the hardest race I've ever done, and I don't think it gets any harder.
Last one is Tom Maloney says, Ben, can you understand how the Dutch may have been disorientated in the women's road race given they were out of their European culture zone, similar to what Aussies used to be first arriving in France? That's obviously regarding the Olympics.
As I said, I've been like pretty unplugged for like the last little week or so. Maybe just been drunk, but I don't know. And maybe it'd be pretty hard because you always do see motos and stuff like this, and you're just not paying enough attention. Or normally you get used to the radio, but the signboard should always be there. But I've got no idea.
That's all right,
enough of them. Well, that was the other question I was going to ask you about the Olympics. What I'd like to have your comments on, firstly, Carapaz's amazing victory, and Roglic's absolute brilliant victory as well.
Oh, I missed that. What was it? It was in
the Carapaz, his gold medal winning ride.
You've got to remember, John, he's been drunk for a week. He hasn't been watching
just
this
asking.
Stuff. You already told this.
What are your thoughts? You still know he won, so what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, not surprised. He was flying at the tour. He's pretty aggressive, and it's good that it actually was able to pay off for him finally after all his aggressive racing of the Tour de France. And I think it's pretty. Primož's time trial was more like special because he won by a lot, and he's obviously recovered well and not slackened off after hitting the deck so hard in the Tour de France, and slogging his way through for a couple of days. That's some pretty strong mental strength to come out and then really smash the TT to pieces. A 1 minute win is not. I mean, no one's even close to you when you win by a minute. So chapeau.
And Caroline, last question says, Pappas ride. When will we see you back? What is the Pappas ride?
Pappas is the classic ride back in Perth, I guess. There's a couple of them. Pappas from Freo is the main one. I guess it's what I actually can't really remember. I think it's 60, 70 Ks. You go up. It's just a big full-on swap off early in the morning, 6:30, 6 o'clock. So it'll be a little while until I get to go back and do another Aussie bunchy, I think.
Says I was made for Durbo then.
Durbo did rock up every night. Actually, credit to Jai Hindley because he would come from Carlisle, which is a long, long way north. It's like 60, 50 Ks north. And, it starts at 6:15 in the morning. So he's got an early morning to make it to this bunch ride. And he would be there ready, going, buzzing, having a couple brews. Good memories.
Hey, mate, we really appreciate you taking time out of your Saturday morning to join the detour, mate, because it's been a massive month for you. And as you've seen from all the love you're getting online and obviously back home, everyone's so proud of your achievements, mate. It's sensational, and it was a fantastic 3 weeks in July.
Thanks, boys. Thanks so much, and have a good week.
You too, mate. We'll be in touch soon.
See you later.
Go on, Benny.
Yeah, superstar. Thanks, mate.
Ben O'Connor, absolute superstar. And as we said, we really appreciate it.
What a great young man, hey? What a great young man. Now it's time for a quick word from the Amy Gillett Foundation and Bike Exchange.
Street, it's about consideration and mutual respect. Roads are much the same. However you get around, walk, ride or drive, if we share our roads, we can all be safer. When you're driving, it's nice to be friendly, but make sure there's enough personal space between you and people on bikes, because a metre matters. Stacks of people ride bikes. Just as you expect to see other vehicles on the road, expect to see people riding bikes too. Bike riders also need to be aware of traffic lights, magpies, prams, potholes, pedestrians, Google vans. Look, just be aware. Come rain, hail, shine, sleet or snow, no matter what the conditions, drive safely wherever you go. Opening your car door without looking can cause serious injuries to bike riders. Always check your side mirrors and look over your shoulder for people riding bikes. Don't open your door unless you're sure there's no one coming. Let people know where you're going, so check your blind spots and indicate early, and always use your hands when changing lanes and turning. Most road rules are for everyone. Stop at red lights and always give right of way at intersections. But some rules are just for riding bikes, like wearing a helmet when you're out on your wheels, because it might just save your life. You also need bike lights and bright clothes, because sometimes it's hard to see and be seen by other road users without them. You don't need to look like a disco on wheels, just a light on the front and one on the back. Something else that's important on a bike: brakes. Take it from me, it's not good if they don't work. None of us like to imagine the worst, but just in case, carry some ID when you ride your bike. Riding a bike can be hard work. We don't all have legs of steel, so eat, drink and rest when you need to. So there it is, consideration and mutual respect. It doesn't take much. After all, it's a two-way street.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Thanks again to our great mates at Bike Exchange, and some great messaging there from the Amy Gillett Foundation about staying safe on the roads. Fantastic interview, Johnny. I thought Benny was absolutely amazing. Such a humble guy, and you know, a lot of people are commenting. Boris, he says, thanks guys for bringing Ben to us. So proud for the fellow West Aussie, amazing and humble at the same time. Tom Maloney says, fantastic young bloke. We should be so proud of him. Wendy Superfan, thanks, Ben. And then the Wheel Wizard. Doesn't Ben come from Perth? Why can't he handle the heat?
Yeah, well, I think he actually did say it doesn't normally have too much problem with the heat. He just did that day because they've been having a lot of cold, I guess. But, yeah, no, fantastic. Really, really enjoyed that.
Yep. And, we're obviously building up for the Tour of Spain, which is getting underway in a couple of weeks' time, iffy. But sounds like you've locked him in for a part 2 where we can go back to...
Yeah, we'll do it very soon, actually. Yeah. So I just sent him a message then to thank him for coming on and to let us know what day suits, and we'll do it soon and follow it up because there's some really interesting stuff about his early days. So people who started him and some of the races he did. So we'll go through that later. And also, we're going to tell everyone what's going on with this wonderful prize. I know we're going to tell them today, but we haven't quite got it all finalised. But we'll do that $10,000 wonderful trip to the Maldives to, what's it called, the Miller Resort?
Miller Resorts, Maldives.
A Miller Resort, Maldives. So we'll have all the information on the next podcast, how we're going to do that. But I think it's going to be something like a silent auction or something like that. That's what we're leaning towards. I think it'd be a wonderful opportunity for an amazing holiday.
Yeah, and if you did like the interview, help the show out by telling your mates, youtube.com/the Detour Podcast. Subscribe, share, spread the word, because we really appreciate all the support. And thanks for everyone getting involved with the questions. And most of all, thanks to Ben O'Connor, absolute superstar. And he took a lot of time out of his Saturday morning when he's been on a bit of a wine tour of France, so we really appreciate it, and we hope you guys enjoyed the interview too. And there will be a part 2 coming up soon, so stay tuned. And if you do subscribe and tick on notifications, it'll pop up when we're doing our next show as well. So thanks for all your support, guys. We'll be back again soon. Cheers.